From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is Wake Up Weather.
Good Monday morning. I'm Kelly Rawson in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. We are live at 6 a.m. It is June the 30th, the last day of June. I can't believe July is already here. In fact, the 4th of July happening on Friday. I have some really great news for our 4th of July forecast here locally in the Tennessee Valley. Unfortunately, the start of the week not looking so great. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The good news about today and about right now is we are scanning a dry sky on live Viper Doppler radar. Temperatures are on the warm side, still up lower 70s across the board, a little bit cooler into Hohenwald into the upper 60s. So again, a warm and muggy start to the day, but hey, we are at least off to a dry start. However, over the next several hours, that is expected to change. But at least for the next few hours, no need for the rain gear. Just pack it with you though, because you will likely need it later on this afternoon. A little bit of fog out there, but really not too much, not a big problem by any means this morning across the region. Again, we are dry and mostly calm. We're also mostly cloudy to partly cloudy, just depending on where you're at. Temperatures and dew points very close together. So again, it is quite muggy and sticky out there. Winds out of the south-southeast blowing about 4 miles an hour. We are just starting to see a few peaks of daylight over into Columbia and Murray County. Good morning to you folks tuning in. Temperatures and dew points right at each other, but we are relatively dry to start off, even up into Murray County. Now hopping on over to North Alabama. Again, still seeing some cloud cover. We're going to call it partly to mostly cloudy for much of this morning. Again, temperatures not quite that warm just yet. We are in the lower 70s at this time. Now, I will say with this Futurecast model, and of course, during the summertime, we can never take these models verbatim, especially during those just peak day of the heating of the day thunderstorms that we're expecting, and that's what we are expecting this afternoon. Now, some models do have a little bit more of a widespread coverage this afternoon, but those models also had some rain and thunder showers already by this time this morning. So this model has been dry for the morning portion. That's why I'm rolling with it to show you what could happen this afternoon. However, I do think we're going to see a little bit more widespread in coverage than what this model is showing. So again, just take it with a grain of salt. We will just work through it. But over the next few hours, we should be dry, I should say. This is around lunchtime, around 12 p.m. Temperatures in the mid 80s already. We are going to be hot and humid for the entire day. Cloud cover sticking around, partly to mostly cloudy, and then by later on in the afternoon, that's when we're going to start to see storms fire up again. I think we're going to be a little bit more widespread in coverage, and I do think it's going to inch into our viewing area, and not just into North Alabama. I do think southern middle Tennessee, just because you guys are looking relatively dry on this model output doesn't mean that's necessarily going to be the case. Again, those thunderstorms, they are going to develop where they want to, especially during a summer afternoon as things still are unsettled here. So just keep that in mind. We are still expecting showers and storms this afternoon and evening throughout the entire viewing area. And then overnight, a few thunder showers and thunderstorms as well to kick off Tuesday morning. Of course, we will keep you updated if there are any changes to the forecast, but no severe weather is expected for today. Just some heavy rainfall and frequent lightning. A few more rounds of storms by the time we get to your Tuesday afternoon and into the evening. So have the rain gear with you, not only today, but also for tomorrow, as this week is off to an unsettled start. But I have some fantastic news for the second half of the week, just in time for the 4th of July. Heading into Tuesday, again, still unsettled with scattered to widespread rain and storms. But then notice our old friend, high pressure, is getting closer and closer to us here in the Tennessee Valley. By Wednesday, a few leftover thunder showers as this system starts to move on out, and high pressure actually moves on in. I think it's coming to the Tennessee Valley to spend 4th of July with us. Thursday, we are looking completely dry across the Tennessee Valley. In fact, mostly sunny, and that is the same story for Friday on the 4th of July. So great news for any outdoor plans and any fireworks shows for the 4th. On Friday, we are still going to be warm and humid. I mean, it's the end of June and early July here in the Tennessee Valley. But for the next few days, those heat index values will stay in the mid to lower 90s. Still going to be very hot and humid for today. Upper 90s for those feels like temperatures for today. Let's go ahead and pop over to the tropics. This is not something we've had to talk about much over the last 30 days or so, but again, just a very, very low risk of some sort of disturbance forming in the eastern Gulf. 20% chance risk of that happening over the next 7 days. Not too significant by any means, but of course we are always watching the tropics for you. We've already had Andrea out at sea. We've already had Barry go into the coast of Mexico, neither affecting us here in the United States along the Gulf, but we are going to be watching this area again. Doesn't look like too significant of a risk by any means, but of course we are always keeping our eyes on the tropics, especially if you are heading down to Florida for the 4th of July. Just something to be mindful of. Again, still a low risk of development over the next 7 days. Back here at home across the Tennessee Valley, again, we are going to be relatively dry over the next few hours, but don't let that fool you. Again, we are going to be expecting those scattered, maybe even widespread rain and storms later on this afternoon and evening. So you may not need the rain gear the next few hours, but heading into the afternoon, you will be glad that you brought it with you. With those rain and storms continuing to move through for the afternoon and into the evening as temperatures get up into the upper 80s across the region. So again, still hot and humid, and those feels like temperatures in the upper 90s. Rain stays with us for today, even a rain chance overnight, showers and storms for your Tuesday as well. But that's when we start to flip from a little bit of an unsettled pattern to a much more pleasant pattern. By Wednesday, we're going to see just a few leftover thunder showers, not widespread by any means. Then heading into Thursday, we start our dry pattern, and that bleeds over into the 4th of July. So again, any outdoor plans, good to go. Just going to be a little bit warm during the afternoon because we're going to see more sunshine. So temperatures will be in the 80s to start off the week. Then we will pop up into the 90s heading into our drier spell later on this week. Well, that's a check at your local weather forecast. I hope you have a wonderful Monday. Again, don't forget the rain gear for today. I will be back at 8 a.m. with another weather update.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.